What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Debates with Nav on the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Pranav Raman, and today we are going to be analyzing two 2020 NBA draft prospects, Duke basketball point guard Tre Jones and North Carolina basketball point guard Cole Anthony. Now, we're going to be discussing who's better, what their strengths and weaknesses, how I rate each prospect, so let's get right into it. First, we're going to start off with North Carolina basketball point guard Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony was ranked number 2 coming out of high school. He was ranked that high because of his natural ability to score and his ability to get into the paint at free will and his overall handle of the ball on the offensive end. On the offensive end, he is a superior player compared to a lot of people in this draft, but he has a lot more weaknesses than strengths, in my opinion. Yes, he's very crafty on the offensive end of the ball. He can score at will. He could get to the paint. He can maneuver past defenders. He has a handle of the ball, and he could shoot the three at a high clip. But he oftentimes makes careless decisions on the offensive end, such as his playmaking. His IQ can be a little faltering at times, and especially in crunch situations, Cole Anthony has failed to show up when his team wanted him the most. And he also makes careless decisions in terms of his talented ball handling. Sometimes he dribbles too much with the basketball, and when it's really not required, and that slows down offense. That slows down pace on a North Carolina team that feeds off pace. Roy Williams' fast-paced offense, which goes off feeding the ball. Cole Anthony can get into his ISO too much, and that isn't really going to be effective in the NBA because defenses can figure him out if he just keeps dribbling the ball, pounding that rock. Now, let's get into his stats. Cole Anthony, in 22 games this season, he averaged 18.5 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, and 4 assists a game on 45 effective field goal percentage. That's pretty good for a college freshman, but that's not good enough compared to Tre Jones, who is a sophomore, who was ranked 17th coming out of high school. He was ranked 17th in the nation. Cole Anthony was number 2. If Cole Anthony was number 2, he should be so much far superior than Tre Jones, who was ranked 17th, but they're on the same level as a point guard. It's just Cole Anthony's natural ability on the offensive end and upside is what scouts are attracted to. So they're obviously going to say he's the better player when he really isn't. Yes, 45. If you're shooting sub 50% for someone whose main ability is to score on the offensive end, that you're not doing your job at the most efficient way. You're not being the best at what you could be at your job, which is to score. And let's not even get to his defense. His defense is just outright horrendous. Cole Anthony, he has a bigger height, bigger size than Tre Jones, but he just doesn't give much effort on the defensive end. He's sometimes stagnant. He sometimes doesn't have the motor, the effort on the defensive end, but he really does have the intangibles to be a great defender. It's just that he's not motoring himself to be that way, and that is why I'm very concerned with Cole Anthony as a prospect compared to Tre Jones. Yes, he has a lot of upside. He has a lot of upside with him. He has great intangibles, great footwork. He's very athletic. Compared to Tre Jones, the athleticism of Cole Anthony is off the charts. But his decision-making compared with his want-it factor is why he's not as good of a prospect to me as Tre Jones is. Now, let's get to Duke point guard Tre Jones. Tre Jones is a sophomore this season. Tre Jones last season as a freshman as the 4th option behind Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, and Cam Reddish. Tre Jones averaged 9 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 4 rebounds per game on 41 field goal percentage. Now, that's not terrible considering the fact that he was a 4th option. He doesn't get a lot of touches, and his main goal is to just play make and keep the offense running. But this season, into his new elevated role, when he got the keys to the offense, Tre Jones elevated his game to another level. Tre Jones averaged 16 points per game, 6 assists per game, and 4 rebounds per game on 47.4 effective field goal percentage. That's better in every statistical category. In every statistical category, Tre Jones improved. And although his scoring is lacking by 2 points to Cole Anthony, who's supposed to be a primary scorer, his scoring is his main attribute. Tre Jones is scoring 2 points less per game, and he's generating more offense due to his assist totals. Now let's get to Tre Jones' strengths and weaknesses. His strengths are He is a very good playmaker. He is a very smart player on the basketball court. He could keep an offense running. He elevates the overall success of his teammates. Hell, you could look at Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson will be the first person to tell you that Tre Jones helped him develop as a basketball player. RJ Barrett, Tre Jones helped him develop as a basketball player. Cam Reddish, who is one of Tre Jones' best friends, he helped him develop as a basketball player. That's why all three of them went top 10 picks. Tre Jones is the one that found them open shots. He knew when to get them the ball. He created shots for them, and that made their lives much easier in his freshman season. Now, in this elevated role as a sophomore, Tre Jones was the best player on this team. There was a 6th-ranked Vernon Carey coming in, and Cassius Stanley, who's also a very highly ranked high school prospect, came in. And Tre Jones was like, nope, this is my team. I'm taking over. And he had that want-it motor, which I want from Cole Anthony, but Tre Jones showed it to me. Now, his strengths are Tre Jones is a very smart player. We already mentioned that. And his defense is elite compared to Cole Anthony. Tre Jones has a knack for the ball, on and off the ball. He could score. He's a great scorer too, but that's not his main attribute. But defense, he could play on and off the ball. He knows how to read a defense. He could see what's going to happen before it actually happens, and he puts pressure on bigger offensive players. That's very critical for an NBA team to have. And his weaknesses are he's a very average-sized point guard. So on the offensive end, it's going to be hard for him to create much offense. It's going to be hard for him to score past bigger defenders. Like, let's say if he goes up against someone like Lonzo Ball, who is 6'6", and who is much bigger than him. Tre Jones is going to struggle finding a way to get past that defender. And that's okay. That's okay. For a young point guard, he could develop those skills later. I'm not saying that's a great thing. He needs to work on that. But as a young point guard, those skills are developable. It's the motor that has Tre Jones ahead of Cole Anthony for me, and the defensive instincts. On the offensive end, I'll give Cole Anthony the edge, even though Tre Jones is very close, and his playmaking also is borderline, is very borderline. But for me, Cole Anthony on the defensive end, that just loses the argument for me, because Tre Jones is on another level on the defensive end, and his other weakness is he's a very average shooter. He's a very average scorer, and NBA teams who are looking for shooting and scoring may not want to take him, and that's a very acceptable thing, because in the modern NBA, you must be able to shoot, and you must be able to get the ball in the basket when your team requires it of you. And if Tre Jones can't do that consistently as a shooter, well, he's just a playmaking defender. And for someone who's projected to go in the late first round or early second round, that's a very good gamble. That's a more complete player to me than someone who just has those offensive attributes. And so it is a very close argument. But overall, I will take Tre Jones as a better NBA prospect due to the fact that he's already more polished, and I'm taking what he has right now and what skills he can develop later into what Cole Anthony's upside could be, due to the fact that Tre Jones has more of a motor inside of him that wants to be great than Cole Anthony does. Thank you.